This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below. All right, so here is a great article that I wanted to talk about from Techdirt. Can you license a video that you don't hold the copyright over? There is a particular video that I'm not going to show. It is licensed to Jukin Media, by the way. If you don't remember who Jukin Media is, that was the whole MXR fiasco back in the middle of January when Jukin Media issued copyright strikes against MXR reviews, MXR plays. And, they have several 100,000 subscribers. They're comedians. They do kind of a reaction plus. And so there was a real backlash against Jukin Media. But Jukin Media is one of these media aggregation companies that collects media licenses and then tries to exploit them for their own profit and the profit of their licensees or licensors. They're the licensee, so for the licensors. So if you are familiar with Viral Hog, this is the similar thing to Viral Hog. I have 2 videos with Viral Hog, and I'm not entirely happy with Viral Hog, but at the same time, I didn't want to have to go through the efforts of pursuing copyright infringement and licenses and everything for 2 videos that I put out that were frequently pirated. So I let them handle that. And it was more of an experiment than anything, but I occasionally get a check, so I'm not that terribly upset with it. But buyer beware. Definitely look up and talk to and read your license agreement and understand it. Maybe even hire a local attorney in your state to review your license agreement, because that's contract, and contract is a state law thing. But what we're talking about is Jukin Media getting a license for a video from a camera that fell from an airplane and landed in a pig pen. The report from Mike Masnick says that this person found a camera 8 months later in their pig pen and got the footage off of it and licensed it to Jukin Media. And Mike asks the question, can you do that? Like, can you even license a video you don't own the copyright to? And no, you really shouldn't be able to do that. You don't own the copyright to found footage. Let me explain. What do you need to own a copyright? Copyright protection subsists in original works of authorship fixed in a tangible medium of expression, now known or later developed, from which they can be perceived, produced, or otherwise communicated, either directly or with the aid of a machine or device. Here is a list of things that can be copyrighted. Motion pictures, audiovisual works included. A work is fixed in a tangible medium of expression when its embodiment in a copy or phonorecord by or under the authority of the author is sufficiently permanent or stable to permit it to be perceived, reproduced, or otherwise communicated for a period of more than transitory duration. A work consisting of sounds, images, or both that are being transmitted is fixed for the purposes of this title if a fixation of the work is being made simultaneously with its transmission. So what the heck does that mean? It means the author who fixes a work in a tangible medium of expression is the copyright owner. So think about that for a minute. You've got a situation in Mike Masnick's not even hypothetical, this is a real thing. You've got this situation where a camera falls from an airplane, lands in a pig pen, and then the person who finds the camera, I'm assuming, is not the author and therefore not the copyright owner. So no, you can't legally license that. And if the person who owned that camera, even if they lost it, there's another thing, by the way. Have you ever heard of conversion? We don't talk about criminal law too much, so let's look up conversion. Conversion is a crime limited to parts of common law systems outside of England and Wales. of exerting unauthorized use or control of someone else's property, at a minimum personal property, but in some jurisdictions applying to other types of property such as land, like squatting or holding over, or to patents, design rights, and trademarks. It differs from theft in that it does not include the element of intending to deprive the owner of permanent possession of the property. As such, it is a lesser offense. Criminal conversion specifies a type of conversion that is involved in criminal law, not civil law. An example might be tapping someone's secured wireless LAN or public utility line. Another example might be taking a joyride in a car, never intending to keep it from the owner. So that's one example. It also could be considered a kind of theft if you do intend to keep the camera and not return it to its original owner. Now, I've not heard of conversion of copyright. Maybe there's something about that. Let's take a look. Unpublished and published manuscript, whether copyrighted or not, can be the subject of conversion, as can paintings, pictures, photos, letters, books, pamphlets, newspapers, and the like. So yeah, this might be either some kind of theft, piracy, or conversion, and definitely copyright infringement, because the author is the person who had the camera in the plane and pressed the button. Do you remember the monkey selfie case? The macaque, which took a selfie of itself? Duh. After the author, whose name I forget. He's right back there, though. Hang on a sec. Just to refresh your memory, there was a photographer whose name I've briefly forgotten, who set up a camera and encouraged this macaque to take photos of itself. This one. And that was David J. Slater, by the way, because that's his autograph right there. And he set up a camera to allow the macaque to take its own picture, or it happened incidentally or something. I forget whether it was intentional or not. However, there was then a big blow up on the internet about whether a macaque taking its own selfie was an author fixing a work in a tangible medium of expression. And so therefore, since animals can't own copyright and the author wasn't the one, the David Slater was not the one who fixed the work in the tangible medium of expression by pressing a shutter, if I can speak, then that meant that the macaque didn't own the copyright, and nor did David Slater. And there was actually a big case over it, and it was more or less dropped because everybody agreed that there was no copyright ownership in a selfie taken by an animal. So that was a really novel case, really funny case too. And now you've got a similar situation. If the pilot or passenger in the airplane who lost their camera, if assuming that they were the one that hit the shutter and started the video recording, not only does the camera belong to them, not only does the video card belong to them, not only does the file on the video card belong to them on the memory card, but also the actual copyright still subsists and belongs to that author, and not to the person who picks the camera up off the ground, puts the memory card in their computer and says, "Oh, that's cool," and then contacts Jukin Media and says, "Hey, do you want to license this?" Most of the time, people don't actually contact Jukin or Viral Hog directly. They usually put the video up and then are contacted by someone like Jukin or Viral Hog, but it can happen both directions. For my fake cop video, after I saw that it was very popular on the internet and was getting pirated out the wazoo, I contacted Viral Hog and said, "I don't want to deal with this, you take it." And I consider that a bit of a mistake. I might have been able to do better for myself if I had managed the licenses myself. But at the same time, that's a lot of effort, and I was in the middle of fighting Strike 3 Holdings and Malibu Media, like we just talked about.
So in the case of copyright, it's finders aren't keepers.
Right. Actually, finders are almost never keepers under U.S. law. The owner of that camera, assuming that eventually this plane pilot or passenger who dropped the camera out of the window, assuming that they figure it out, they have all their copyrights. They can issue a DMCA takedown. They can file a copyright lawsuit. They can issue a DMCA subpoena, like we've seen with the Activision thing. They can uncover the identity of the alleged infringer, and they can pursue, probably maybe even pursue criminal charges. Now, you can't just bring criminal charges in the US, you have to contact a prosecutor, but they could definitely try to get their camera back as well, because even if you find a camera laying on the ground and stuff, very technically speaking, under the law, it does not become your property just because you found it. You have to either have a path under the law to, obtain the thing for yourself after a reasonable effort of trying to find the owner or something. And certainly posting someone's copyrighted content on the internet, or worse, licensing that to a third party, that could be some kind of criminal offense as well. In the very basic sense, I don't mean that realistically a prosecutor is going to send someone to jail over posting footage on the internet that they found from a camera that dropped out of the sky. It's a really far-fetched scenario, but it's a really interesting one because they're not the author. They don't have the right to license it at all. And yet here we have a completed licensing agreement and completed mutual assent, a contract between the parties, even though they're not the author.
So I don't expect a farmer, like a pig farmer, whatever, to have a very detailed understanding of copyright. But I feel like Jukin Media might should maybe have known more.
Yeah, Jukin should. Jukin should have known better. I'm not sure if they're thinking like that. I'm sure that they just saw a video and a request to license and said, okay, just add it to the list, add it to our catalog. And definitely, don't get me wrong here. I understand how this happened. If a camera fell out of the sky and landed in my backyard and it had cool footage on it, I would consider this too. Like, this is not a far-fetched scenario of how you got from a camera falling out of the sky, finding it 8 months later, and then being like, oh, let's check out the footage. Oh, that's really neat. That makes total sense. I'm just explaining the technical details of how copyright works to kind of highlight how the ownership remains in the author, not in the finder. Yeah, Jukin only cares that a person signed an agreement and claimed that they own the copyright. And they probably do. In the Jukin Media agreement, which I have not seen, so I don't know, but I'm assuming the Jukin Media agreement says, that the licensor owns a valid copyright and maybe even indemnifies Jukin Media against any claims that the licensor does not own the valid copyright. So yeah, the person who made this license agreement could have actually violated several laws, including copyright, and exposed themselves to a conversion charge of some kind, theft or conversion or something. Very ironically or coincidentally here, there is a Techdirt gear advertisement for copying is not theft as a t-shirt, hoodie, mug, or much more. So in this case, keeping the camera is probably some kind of conversion, and licensing the video you don't own is probably some kind of copyright infringement or conversion. So yeah, I liked that one. I thought that was a really novel scenario that I've never seen before, and it really highlights how copyright law works. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me. That is our show. I really appreciate your support and the community that we've created here, and this is a beautiful thing we've got going with Lawful Masses. Please consider helping us continue our mission of fun and educational legal stories and news for you on a daily basis, brought to you by me, Leonard French, your Lawful Masses host. Please consider supporting us on sponsors.com/law or patreon.com/ljfrench. These people have supported us in the month of February at the $50 or more level. Aspernari, Video Demonetized, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Kyle Mudrak, Michael Pearce, Spirit Bear, Jan Negrey, Daniel Perez, Blackleaf, Joe Tyson, Benjamin Hitov, Steven, Cute Grills in Your Area, Ottah, Kysal, and Longreach Jones. I really appreciate all your support. And there will be $5 plus supporters scrolling on the screen in front of me. I'll see if I can put some dog video on the outro here, as we've got dogs now that I'm back in the States. and I look forward to seeing all of you in the videos that drop. Remember to subscribe on YouTube, click the bell to get all your notifications of our daily videos, and I will see you there. Love you all. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney. Have a good one. Bye.
Feature of today's events. Nadielson.
Check out my top.
What a good boy.
It's an Yves Saint Laurent.
What a good boy.
Yeah.
Puppy's top.
I thought that was very reasonable.
Yeah. What a wonderful boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, his little feetsies even look nice and clean. Instead of being full of fur.
Yeah, I think it's so much cleaner with the paws, the fur, shape. You think?
Yeah. Probably it's more comfortable for him too.
Sure.
Put some top back on outside the button and everything else on. It's gonna make a big difference.
What a good boy.
Amazon warns against
Vendors have been accused of jacking up